People like food that tastes really good, people like food that they can afford, and people like food that makes them feel good. The heart of how we're going to educate is just making that stuff. Can we find a plant that scrambles like an egg? So we finally found something about the fourth year or so of the company. Took another year and a half or so to figure out how to scale it up. We found a varietal of the mung bean that we process. We mill into a flour where we take the protein out. So it's finding it, but it's also that process. And you got to really make sure both of those things are working to enable you to have something in a pan that scrambles up. You make scrambled eggs or an omelet with.
There's over 390,000 species of plants in the world. And so my job is to source plants from all over the world, to build this plant library, which we're in right now, and to funnel these plants into our research platform. We have a two-pronged approach, basically. We do what we call product agnostic research. We're studying them in high-throughput automated systems to discover their potential applications, like emulsification and gelation and foaming and all these different things. But then we're also looking at things that we know we want to address. We have pretty clear ideas of where the food system might be broken. We have pretty clear ideas of what kind of products we think could be a lot healthier, a lot more sustainable. And a lot of the time, you'll find animal ingredients as kind of the super inefficient culprit in the middle of that complex problem in food systems.
This is the space we call it Discovery Lab. We have the molecular science teams and food science team working together to identify the properties of these proteins. But at the same time, there are so many different plants on Earth, so we have to take advantage of the automation, and that's where these robotic systems will be able to help us to really speed up the process and generate these data. But ultimately, if we speed up, it's not enough to have scientists working on individual data sets. So we also have the data scientists and data engineer working here so that we'll be able to connect all the data and dots together and try to figure out which one could be interesting for next candidate. Based on our knowledge, not a lot of companies are doing exactly what we're doing here, and that's the reason we have the patent granted from USPTO to protect the infrastructures we have it here. So how do we deal with the data? Depends on how executive team decided what to share, what not to share. But at the same time, we're interested in partnership with different companies. So a lot of companies might be interested in specific protein isolates. They may help or enable different food products or food categories later on. And once we collect more and more data sets, now we'll be able to work with others to really enable the more sustainable and healthy food for others.
The goal is to create a more just, equitable, sustainable food system. Then we want those relationships to be just and equitable all the way through the supply chain. We have to look at what does it look like actually on the ground to produce that specific crop. What do the communities' livelihoods look like? What would it look like for us to jump in and buy a certain amount from them? Things that are really commonly grown, we're able to easily plug in, but trying to make sure that there is social responsibility and environmental responsibility in those production practices. In other places, we have to build that supply. And so a lot of the times I'm working with local experts, researchers, people at local universities who are directly cooperating with farmers and farm communities. They put me in touch with them, and we kind of understand how can we build the supply chain in a way that really works best for everybody.
When I first started the company, I knew little to nothing. I used to say, what does it look like if we start over? What does it look like if the entire food system starts from scratch? How would you build it, right? And I thought, well, we would do everything differently. That's what I thought. And I don't think that anymore. I think half of the food system is just fine. And the half that is just fine are the thousands of manufacturing facilities, the tens of thousands of refrigerated trucks, the retail merchandising, the warehouses, the infrastructure to make it happen. The other half that needs to be thought of anew are the tools that go into that infrastructure. Instead of putting a real egg with all of its avian flu issues and other sorts of issues into the structure, maybe we should put a plant-based egg into the structure. When I meet with the biggest egg companies, when I meet with the biggest meat companies, what they want is to make money selling protein. If you give them something different though, that might make that easier, might mitigate risk, they're an amazing partner. And it's a big change in how I thought when I first started. I thought, these industries in some ways were the competition. Let's don't be so pure about who we partner with, which I think is bullshit. We want to do good fast, and they want to figure out a way to do good and make money. So let's find partners, get out there. If we do what we really want to do, we'll make the good thing ubiquitous. That'll be the true judge of whether we did what we needed to or not. Not going public, not a next round of investment. It'll be, can you find good stuff? Can you find better meat? Can you find better eggs in every community all around the world?